So when I came to America and I thought this is the land of the free, I was really very shocked to see how Christians are so indifferent about the political atmosphere. It was a separation of church. It's almost like the government told them, separation church and state, you are not allowed to be involved socially. And that really bothered me because I thought they don't realize this is not actually political, it's spiritual. And I could see the country going slow in that direction. And I told you earlier, I was desperate. I could not believe this country. I remember saying to God, you started this country. You cannot let this country go that way. Because you usually finish your work. And I was crying and crying. And he said to me, remember those kids that came to Romania for Campus Crusade because they were 18? They had to live in the same environment like we did, conditions. But they were American kids. Said a lot of my people serve me overseas in atrocious conditions. I'm going to help this country because of them. So I could hear on YouTube a lot of Christians will talk about America deserves to be punished, and I didn't want to accept that. Yes, I know we are sinful. We know we have issues with gays and lesbians and all that, but those kids sacrifice their youth to be in Romania or other countries. So we deserve at least that. And God had mercy for us. So I am not going to give up on America. No way. Because where I'm going, I mean, everywhere in the world it's a disaster. So I'm not going to give up on this. And if you have any questions, gosh. Sorry, I didn't mean to become emotional. Honestly, I am more patriotic than Americans are. I mean, I had to go to the system. It took me like 6 years to get my citizenship. Isn't that true? Because we went back and forth. No, because we went back and forth. Remember, that time was not. But I had to go to the system. I had to take the test. It's a government state test. It's language. It's writing and comprehension. I did it, and I expect everybody else to go to the system. And they are loyal to the country. I don't care about illegal aliens, okay? Because I'm legal and I pay taxes and I speak the language. And I expect everybody to do the same. So people tell me, I mean, I had American people asking me, are you afraid that Trump is going to send you back? I say, why? I'm legal. And his wife is legal. And I tell people, obviously he doesn't have an issue with foreigners. He was married to 2 of them, both of them from Eastern Europe. Isn't that interesting? So, from Slovenia, and his former wife was from Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia. So he married 2 women. One was American, because this is the third, but from Eastern European countries. So I think he probably noticed those girls are not, they're tough girls, because they had, yeah.
So our educational system here, the public educational system and the university system, seems like it is being taken over by socialists.
It is.
And what do we do with that?
I mean, the fact that you still, my sister teaches in a high school in Dallas. She's a math teacher, and she prays with the kids. She doesn't care. They scare her. You know, the system you have here, you cannot pray with the kids. She said, I see my kids struggling. I asked them, do you mind if I pray for you? And none of them said no. So she's praying with them, and then she's teaching them how to pray powerfully. To tell, said it's a fear that Americans are accepting, and we should not accept that. So if you have people that teach in schools, they can be more bold about their faith. Homeschool is good, but my sister doesn't agree with that because she thinks that people stepped out from schools and they let the darkness take over. So I don't know what the answer is. I think we should be a little bolder, because I have to tell you, Trump, as bad as people talk about him, he's teaching us how to stand our territory. That man, I cannot believe how much negativity is thrown to him, and he's staying there and still staying. So I think we should do the same. He's teaching the church, isn't that funny? He's teaching the church to stay on our territory. I love it. So we had a health system that was free. But I have to tell you, it's nothing. People don't understand nothing in this world is free. You pay one way or another. You pay with your freedom, or you pay with your heavy taxations, or you pay with, you go in a hospital that you have mold on the walls and they don't care because there's no competition. You cannot go somewhere else. This is it. So if you want free stuff here, free stuff is going to be with mold on the walls then. How is that good for us? Anyway, no. Health system, you cannot have one big government take over everything. Because then they don't care. You are going to become a number, not a human being. And they're going to treat you like a number. They don't care if you live or die. They will probably prefer you to die, so especially if we are older, so they don't invest in us anything. So
what kind of taxation? People go to work, they get paid money, and the government taxes how much?
I don't even remember because I was too young to remember how much money they took from us. But we had, okay, I'll tell you like this. School didn't cost anything, but everything was covered. Was the high school was covered, and then you go to university and it's covered. But then you'll go where they send you. I was trained in electrical field, and I had to go to the company that they sent me to. I couldn't go somewhere else because that's where the government is sending you. So if you had a...
Even married couples, right? Versus
that's if you are in university and you got married, and then after you finish, you're a doctor and you're an engineer, the state will send you to this particular area because they need a doctor, and over there they need an engineer. They didn't care that you were married. Why did you marry before time? You see, it was, and then they wanted more babies because they wanted more workers. And then what they did, abortion was illegal and contraception was illegal. I worked for a company that was state company. We had to be checked for every month to make sure we are pregnant, or if we are pregnant, we don't abort the baby. So since the medical system was not proper, women started to do illegal abortions, which was like you had here in the 50s, you know, the back road, yeah. So a lot of women died. They did not, they would go to the hospital, but they were not allowed, the doctors did not allow them to treat them. So they will die, the infections or whatever. So now they wonder why the orphanages are full of orphans. That's why. Yes, and we had orphans everywhere, and we had orphanages everywhere. We had no idea what's happening in those orphanages because we were not allowed to go there. Just the state, that's it. So it was very traumatizing. I remember clearly the degradation because my mom, I was the oldest of 6, and she will send me to wait in line for food, and I will wait hours till they bring some produce or something. But there was no line, it was a mob by now, and I was a little girl, and I remember every time they would step all over me and I would go home with nothing. I was so humiliated. I am not a fighter. I just remember that a lot. So it was that feeling of degradation and humans becoming not human. Yeah. Just to survive, you know.
What about church? You said you went to Christian family.
Yes, so the church was evangelical church, which is Romanian evangelicals, very much like you have here in America, the one that covered their head. Yeah, the rules were so strict. Women are here and men are here. Very legalistic, but the government wanted that to be a fact because they didn't want people to follow God, so they made it very severe. They didn't allow instruments. They had, and we knew that they have spies in there, and you're not allowed to go preach outside of the building. So one time, we invited an evangelist from the big city, and he came and preached, and more people than normal came because everybody invited friends, and so the people were outside. And the state came and closed the church for 3 months as a punishment. We dared to break the rule. Yeah. So the church was very, very legalistic, I should say. They will preach salvation by grace, by, oh my gosh, as soon as you got saved, the rules were just. So it was, I grew up in very strict environment from the state and government and from the church. I had very hard time to trust God and to understand God's love because I had way too much severe situations there. But then I remember that he was there even though I was struggling with a lot of issues and hardship. He was there.
Are things better in Romania now?
Actually, they are better from a religious point of view, or freedom of religion is better there than here now after revolution. Because now, like, the state allows their own schools to hire, for example, if you have a lot of Baptist kids, they will hire a Baptist teacher, and the state will pay for his salary to teach religion classes. In the public school, yeah. So they have classes in the
What happened?
So what happened is in '89, December, was very warm, very unusually warm for Romania, because Romania has very heavy winters. So there was a pastor, actually he was in Hungary, in this part of the country, I'll show you. In Transylvania, we have a lot of Hungarian people. And this gentleman in this part of the country, yeah, he started to fight the government. Yeah. Where, this not here. Anyway, so where is that? Where did you see it? Oh, yeah, over there. But not. So he was the pastor, Reformation Church or something. Yeah, and he just stood his territory. And then more students, a lot of students had enough. We were starving by then. When Wayne came to Romania after the revolution, he was shocked to see our stores were empty. We had like few jars of tomato paste, that's it. We're starving. And very cold. Yeah. So people had enough, so they started to come into the marketplace, and Ceausescu came and spoke with people. That was in Bucharest, so here. He spoke with people, and people boo him. I remember, because I never saw that in my entire life. People were afraid of him, but they had enough, so they booed him. And then he was kind of taken. And he came back and he told us, oh, the foreigners are trying to take over Romania. Da, da, da. Well, he had to run. You see, that's why I know God was there. Number one, it was very warm, so people could stay in the marketplace for days. Yeah. Number two, he had a lot of bunkers to hide, but he was so confused. He tried to run away with the helicopter, and the pilot said, "You know what? I don't want to be involved with this." So they just dropped them off in the middle of nowhere, so people caught them, and so they arrested him, and they killed him on TV. We watched that. It took an hour.
3 days later, fire was.
That was Christmas Day.
That was Ceausescu.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He is in his wife.
His wife, yeah. There was a lot of pent-up anger.
So then after that, they gave us more freedom, but it was still, and we still have leftovers from the communist government. They became a little smarter. They thought, okay, let the private sector be developed because we can tax them to pieces. So we still struggle from that point of view with the corruption that's left over from the former government. Everywhere else, I guess.
And it all happened because we walk away from God.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
You don't acknowledge Him or walk away from Him and go your own way. Try to build a humanistic government, whether it's socialist or communist. It never works because they forget one of the most important things is the nature of man.
Yeah.
When you don't deal with that, you think that we as humans can build this utopia.
That's what they wanted. That's what communists want to do. They want to create utopia.
Without God.
Without God. The perfect world. We take from the rich and we give to the poor. Everybody is equal. So we're equally poor, everybody. But we had the elite, which were the government workers. They had their own hospitals, they had their own houses. So it's never equal, okay? I remember a while back here in America, there was the fat guy that does those documentaries. What's his name? Michael Moore.
Oh, Michael Moore.
He made this documentary film about Cuban hospitals. And I'm shaking my head because they did have those in Romania, very good hospitals, but only government could go there. Us, we could not touch those hospitals. Same in Cuba. They have their own hospitals, their own houses, their own...
He was either that ignorant or intentionally.
I don't know. He's probably ignorant. I don't know, but...
What do you think about all these people going to Cuba and coming back saying how wonderful it is?
That's why you're only
You're
shown
only shown
government official health systems
places
and then told that's for everyone. Of course, it's only-
Yeah. Yeah.
4 Americans recently that went over to Cuba. In fact, didn't you have a video on that?
Yeah, we did.
They think it's charming because they still have those cars from the 50s. They have the cars from the 50s because they don't have choice for the newer one. So, look, I'm not saying that our system is perfect because nothing is perfect on this earth till Christ comes. But at least we have the democracy gives this competition, so people have to improve whatever they create so they compete well with the neighbor. So they create better quality things if you give people the freedom.
Competition is a very good word.
Well, it is.
Have you thought about, with your mission, going before God, asking God to go into the high schools and junior high schools to share your message?
So
Possible?
this is the first time somebody invited me to speak in a group like this. So I don't know. I mean, I told the Lord, okay, I cannot condition. Say, God, okay, I can do whatever you want, but do not put me in front of people because I hate speaking in public. I'll say, I will even do that if you ask me to do that. So I will if he opens doors for me.
You know, you could give me your information because I know, and I don't see her very often, sometimes only once or twice a year, but there's a history teacher. She teaches an advanced class in high school, and she goes to Timberline. And she has Dick both come out and talk about World War II, and she talks to them about human trafficking. So she's willing to push the envelope a little bit. She might do something.
Okay, I'll give you my information. Like I said, my sister teaches math. She prays with her kids. She tells them about God, and she's a teacher. And I asked her one time, well, are you afraid you might lose your job? She said, you know, that's not actually a law. They cannot fire me legally. People think it's a law, but it's not. It's just that idea that you cannot talk with your kids in school about
What
God.
does she teach?
She teaches math.
Dallas.
Yeah, and she has a lot of, it's a city school, a lot of African American kids, and so they have a lot of issues, and so she cares about them, and she wants to teach them math, but also help them spiritually grow. She shares the gospel with them. She's not afraid.
So she doesn't do it though in front of the whole class.
No. She'll take them out.
One individually as they seek help.
Oh, so she doesn't do it with the whole class.
No, she will see that they are troubled. You know, like you notice that the grades go down, and she will confront them. What is the problem? And they'll say, oh, I have some problems at home. And she'll ask them, do you mind if I pray with you? So they go on the corridor somewhere, and she prays with them and teaches them, this is how you pray, and this is how you take control over the situation. So she's very involved with her kids. Yeah.
I probably don't want the answer to this, but where are all those Romanian orphans now? All the ones we saw on TV.
Every time I go home, I go visit the orphanage, and I kept in touch with some of them. Most of the kids that ended up in the orphanage are gypsies because they had a lot of children, they couldn't manage to keep them, and they ended up in the orphanage. And you know the story, if they are not developing by 2, if they don't have affection, then they grow up with attachment issues. So they are the ones that ended up in the streets, trafficking. And a lot of Christians, I personally visited some of the places in which Christian organizations build small, tiny houses for the girls that were in the street. And so they stay here, and they do not want to leave them. They cannot move them on. You have to go find a job because we need to bring more, because they are so fearful to be out there, and they develop their own group, and then it's almost impossible to move them. It's their safety area. So they still need it's not just psychological, it's a lot of spiritual warfare,
Do you have any trouble getting in and out of Romania now? Since you're an American citizen, you have dual citizenship.
Yeah, no, Americans are welcome there. You can stay for 3 months without a visa. So that's good. And I usually stay about 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
I never gave up my Romanian citizenship, but when I became American citizen, you have to be American. Over there, I can be both.
Is it considered a communist country or a socialist run country?
No, it's a democratic country now.
Democratic country.
It-
Parties?
Oh, they have a lot more parties. They have so many parties.
It's like Russia.
Yeah, they have a lot of
A lot
parties.
better than just the one party that, socialist party that,
Yeah, but
When you
everyone's
grew up.
mostly the same, so it's hard. Whoever you vote for, you're going to get almost the same result.
as long as you
Corruption,
don't
they
get
may do the talk, but then they don't come through.
They have a lot more freedom. They have private sector now, and they are heavily taxed. Well, the entire Europe, taxes are tremendous there because they need to cover their programs. So people struggle with businesses because, like, what Trump did. Just a second. What Trump did here was amazing, lowering taxes and eliminating rules and regulations. That is the secret for economy. Well, in Romania, they have so many rules and so many regulations, and the taxes are high. So private sector struggles because of that. Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
One question too. When was the last time that you were back in Romania? And then another question after that. How long ago have you been back there? When was the last time?
That was last summer. I spent, I was.
Okay, so you've gone back there on a regular basis?
I do as much as I can. I spent 2 months last summer. Yeah.
And then how has the message of the cross or the Christian message been taken over by people? Is it geographically more acceptable in one region than another? Are people open to hear the message? Explain what you feel about the message of Jesus.
So I think that are you familiar with Pastor John, or do you know anybody? Yeah. You know Rez?
Yeah,
So a few years ago when Pastor John was preaching there, he was putting his sermons online. So my family, I have 4 brothers, and they have a construction company there. So they will meet in the morning, and they will listen to Pastor John's sermons, and one of them speaks English, so he will translate. And so they got a message there. In this community, we have about 3 Orthodox churches that are like Catholics, I guess. And we have one Seventh-day Adventist and one evangelical. They are very religious spirits. So there's no freedom in Christ here, okay? The only hope here is Pastor John's sermons. They found freedom in Christ there. So they developed their own group. Like you guys meet here, they meet there. They have a charismatic group. That's the only life in that community. So please pray that community will flourish. So in the big city, it's about here.
Yeah, small town, maybe 7,000.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a picture with this, but that's the only hope of light. In big cities, they do have a lot of charismatic churches, which is awesome. But the small towns, they still have the heavy religious spirits of the Orthodox Church or very, very religious evangelical churches. So, yeah. Young people are obsessed with, like here.
Yeah.
Like here, yeah. They are online all the time. That's it. That's their life. So I don't know how much they learn about Christ online because they have no interest. But I'm telling you, if we pray for revival, that's the way to go. That's tiny bit of light.
They have a military?
Yes. That's mandatory for 2 years, I think, or a year and a half. You have to be 18.
Are they members? This is a really dumb question. a member of the European Union?
They are, and I'm not happy about that, but they are.
They'll be getting out.
Yeah.
They'll watch England, they'll get out.
Well, because the Orthodox Church, even though it's like Catholic Church, very religious and follows the Bible totally. One good part, they're for the pro-life and pro-family. And when the European Union tries to force gay marriage on them, they don't like that. So fortunately, the Orthodox Church still has a little bit of pull with the government. So pray God can use that
Is
too.
abortion legal there?
Yeah. Yeah.
You still take shoes to your family?
Yeah. I'm not anymore because they don't let you take more than one suitcase anymore. I just, yeah. I mean, the rules are so ridiculous now, so I took few. Sorry.
Could you talk about the opportunities that you took advantage of when you came to America as far as education or careers?
For myself, you mean? So when I came to America, I went to college in Dallas to study interior design. I was fascinated with color, okay, because I came from a gray country. Everything is gray there, very boring. So I decided to go to a field that's very colorful. So I decided to go and study interior design in Dallas, Texas. And I tell everybody, because people here in America, they think that it's impossible to go to school. And I say, yeah, I got a degree. And actually, I had not scholarship. It was a scholarship, grants, because I studied very hard and I kept my grades up. And because they say if you're poor, you cannot go to school. Yes, you can. You get good grades. And they say, yeah, but you came from a country that was very educated. Yeah, but I spoke English, which is my second language. And I still got, and I had a baby. So there's no excuse. I hear all the excuses, and I'm right there. So yeah, I went to a school that I got my scholarship, paid for it, and I had a baby, and I still did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Praise God. Man.
Thank you.
Let's go. And your baby's all grown up.
My baby is 26 now, so yeah. He was born in Romania.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, Stephen has 3 birth certificates. He was born in Romania out of a Romanian girl and an American father. And so he has a Romanian birth certificate, an American one from the American Embassy, and one from the Minister of External Affairs, saying that he was born from American, I don't know, laws and regulations, but he has 3 birth certificates.
He was definitely born.
Yeah, he was for sure. So ask me questions about the communist country, because I don't know if you have any more
What
questions.
danger signs do you see in America?
Right now, I think that the Bernese bros are very vicious. And I hear a lot of, I don't know if you are familiar with Project Veritas. Yeah. So they film some of them saying that we need to be re-educated, sent to the camps, and that's not healthy. You don't send anybody to any camps to re-educate people. That's a very communistic mindset. And they kind of scare me. Bernie, no, he cannot win. The other one lost his mind, but no, Bernie cannot win.
Cannot win it, but never mind.
Yeah, so it's...
He's not even a Democrat, he's always been a communist, but he's attached himself to the Democratic Party. So
Yeah.
people don't realize that.
I know.
When you're speaking praises of Castro and...
Right. Honeymooned in Moscow.
But these kids need to be educated
Exactly.
on what socialism is and what their lives would look like if
Because they're
it
not
ever
taught
happens.
that. They're not taught that in the
They're not
public
taught
schools.
anything. They're
They're
not
not
even
taught
taught.
history.
But listen, it's not only communism, okay? It's the system in general that's damaged. We need to repair the system, because what happened is that we push them to universities so hard, education, and they are taking all this social studies nonsense, and then they get themselves in debt to kingdom come, and then they realize, oh my gosh, we don't have a job, I cannot make money from McDonald's to pay off my schooling, and then they want Bernie to pay to give them free money.
Yeah.
So the damage is from the mindset. Not all of them have to be university degree educate, and I have nothing against education, because we are very educated in Romania. We had degrees all the way to kingdom come there too. It was covered by the government, and I used to say we are all dressed up and nowhere to go because we had education, we didn't know what to do with it. We still had to work for the government. And same here, they've been brainwashing them to go to universities that are so much in debt. They become the servants of the government for the dead people forever. That's why now they want Bernie to pay for their school. So
one thing our president did was sign into executive order to bring back industrial arts into our schools.
Yes.
So that our kids can learn a trade.
Trade,
We don't have enough trade people
You
in
know
this
how
country.
good money the plumbers make?
Yes, oh my gosh, I do.
I know.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. We need more trade people because they are not so desperate for Bernie to pay their debts. So
I don't know, I definitely think part of it is a spiritual thing. Part at work.
It's all spiritual.
it's all spiritual.
This because he knows me and he knows my heart for people and he and I have the same compassion. And he looks at the situation and he's like, this is horrible. These people, they're like burdened down with this debt and, you know, with medical and all this stuff. And I'm just like, but he doesn't get that it's a broken system and that it's not going to work. He believes everything Bernie Sanders says.
Yeah, I know.
And seems to believe that Bernie Sanders has some sort of system where he can pay for him and one other person for the same amount of money. And it's like, and this guy is smart.
I know.
Where's the 10 trillion going to come from? 10 years.
No.
Is Bernie going to open up his pocketbook and he
Well,
has
he
to
No, they
claims-
come from Romania.
He claims that billionaires
Exactly.
will pay
He
for
hasn't
it.
had a job.
He hasn't had a job and had
No
to
way.
take marriages together.
And they applaud him for not having a job because he fought through everything and he worked it out. And I'm like, no, he stole electricity from the basement of his apartment building.
No, so I know that issue because I have a lot of Liberal friends, and believe me, we have this conversation all the time. And I will just tell them, because they hate democracy. Can you believe it? They hate democracy. I'll say, okay, you have the choice between where I've been and where you are. You cannot compare these situations whatsoever. This is not a perfect system, but it's as good as we get it before Christ comes and creates the 1,000 years.
Hollywood has not left this country, like, they hate.
Exactly.
They have not
went to
left, have
Canada.
They have not left, they're still here.
Right, right.
They said they would.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If Trump gets it, we're leaving. Bye-bye.
I know.
I think one of the biggest problems, and what you touched on quite a bit, was spiritual. And I think what happened over the last 30 to 40 years are the parents of the older teens and young adults now, when they were trying to carve out a living to adults out of the home, which let children do whatever they wanted to do. They didn't teach them personal responsibility and allowed them to make mistakes and pay for their errors. And this has been one of the biggest problems with America was the Christian values that we've always brought up with in our generations. Even the Christian values today are the same as everybody else's values. I mean, the young adults trying to make two-income livings and not showing their kids responsibility. You do this, you're responsible for that, you pay the consequences. And it's a spiritual thing.
Yeah,
Well, it started in 1962 when we
Right.
kicked prayer out of school.
Absolutely.
So wait, so that's our generation.
no, actually it started earlier.
That's the baby.
Well-
It's the baby
baby boomers.
baby
Yeah, I know.
boomers, That's us.
That's what they say.
And our children were the Xers, and their children are the millennials. And it's the millennials, so it's 2 generations down from us. It's the millennials, a bunch of college kids that are running around after this 79-year-old nut. And where's the insulation there that educated those kids? It's gone. Because they took American
Yeah.
history out of the high schools and out of the
Civics out.
colleges, and they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And that's the problem. They don't know.
We
So
all remember too, during the hippie generation that we lived through, that they tried to build that perfect utopia and they couldn't do it. What happened to them? They grew up, they had to get careers and
A lot of them went
jobs
into the
and
Jesus
support.
Yeah,
families,
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
did that too, right?
Or they moved to Boulder.
yeah, but
Because of the sin nature of man,
Yeah.
the depravity of man, that
Yeah.
God has told us in His Word that we are a savior, that's why we
Well,
need redemption. and
But this is
restoration.
why it's so
But without
important.
it, it doesn't work.
That's why it's so important in churches. The churches be talking about this kind of stuff to their
Exactly.
people, and the pastors are
Exactly.
scared to death that they're going to lose their
Exactly.
501c3.
I
Yes,
know,
you're right.
that's another one of my frustrations. That 50, I'm telling you, that's like a bondage. They made a
It is a
contract.
bondage, and it doesn't have to be.
They made a contract with the devil. Okay, well now I talk about this and you let us keep our money. So, because I remember, I think I read somewhere that during the Depression, the church, instead of going to God and saying, you are the Almighty God and you can save us from this, they went to the government and said, we cannot manage the poor, you step in. So I think spiritually they did a transfer, spiritually. They,
During FDR's time.
yeah, they asked the government, so it started then. That was the beginning of the end. They did that transfer. The church had authority. We know we have authority here on earth, okay, as church. You teach this here. We took that authority and gave it to the government. And what did the government do? Here we have Bernie now. We talk about him.
We're all the way to Bernie.
Yeah. So now God said, I'm giving you a window during this period with Trump. And if the church doesn't stay in the gap, then we are done. We're done.
That's it.
So honestly, I am really optimistic because we could go the other direction. Hillary could be now here and we'll be martial art or in jail or something. So God gave us hope, and I'm not going to give up. I'm going to intercede till I die, till this guy gets into the second part.